Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of DialogBOX, the show only a mother could love.
Ow.
I'm doing these things where I now introduce the show in different ways.
That's a great intro. I like that.
Different and terrible ways. It's been 9 episodes. People know what's the score. Sometimes I talk about Nintendo Directs. Other times I don't. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite games that we played in the year of our Lord 2018. With me today, as you could hear them giggling in the side, I have I have 2 wonderful Twitch streamers and YouTubers. First off, we have JoshJepson. Say hello.
Hi, my name is JoshJepson. Why is it that whenever I introduce myself, it's always awkward? I don't know why. I'm just an awkward person. Carry on.
Hi! And then also with us, another Twitcher and YouTuber. Sometimes he twitches in real life. MasaeAnela.
Excuse me? I'm not sure how I should take that.
I just went for the joke.
Hi, Masay.
Okay. Hello. Hi, I'm
Hello.
Masay. I do the Twitch things. I Twitch in real life, apparently. I do the
Dude,
gameplay
I have an actual eye twitch, so.
Oh, why
I'm the
didn't
real
you say
life-
that for Josh?
Yeah, I'm the real life
I don't
eye
even
twitcher.
Twitch.
Yeah.
I may have had my notes in reverse. So, I just like Twitch streamer. Problem.
Yeah, there you
Weird
go.
stigmatism. I know everything about my guests. Just put the wrong name on the sheet. So, as I just said, we're going to talk about the favorite games that we played in 2018. That does not necessarily mean that the game came out in 2018. I'm gonna go over the rules a little bit.
Go for it.
Because I decided to be creative today. The game did not have to release in 2018, and it did not necessarily have to be a game that either of us started playing in 2018. Basically, just as long as we beat it, played most of it within this year, that's kind of the rules for this. First off, we are going to start with some honorable mentions, just some games that maybe we didn't get around to beating or for whatever reason didn't make our top 5s.
Okay.
And I'll kind of go around the table to the metaphorical table here, and we'll all just talk about our honorable mentions. Move on to the next person. I'm explaining too much. So, Masay, if you wouldn't mind starting, just maybe talk about a couple of games that you would like to mention first before getting into your top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know that I would have loved Octopath had I finished it, but I don't really have much to say about it other than, like, yeah, I played a chunk of it. So,
How much did you play?
A chunk.
I got up to chapter 3 or 4.
That's better than I did, which was nothing. I didn't play. I played the demo.
You're awful. Play that game. Anyway.
It was really good. When I played the demo, it was good, and I own it.
Yeah.
It is good. You should play it. I should talk because I haven't finished it. But still.
I mean, it was also going to be in my honorable mentions because I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I think I just finished one person's chapter 2, and I can't even remember her name because it's been months.
I guarantee you that
Okay.
my
Ophelia.
honorable mentions are none of yours. I guarantee it. I have some really weird honorable mentions, but they're really great games. Anyway, carry on, Masay.
Is it okay if I do 2 more? I know you said up to 2, but also...
Yeah, knock yourself out.
Okay, because I had a hard time picking, and one of them is actually Rakuen. Rakuen is like a smaller game, and it's really... It tugs at your heart. It's basically To the Moon, except different. But similar. It has that whole, like, oh, everything is sad sort of thing.
Aww. Sometimes those are the best games, though.
Yeah, no, it really is very good, and the music is on point. The person who made the game is Laura Shigihara. No! Shigihara!
Whoa.
Shigihara!
Wow.
No, Laura Shigihara!
You want to just start over from the beginning? Welcome to another
Snip,
episode
snip,
of Dialogue.
Oh my god! Whoa, cut that out! Cut that out!
No.
No! Oh my god! Okay, but I said Laura Shigihara.
There you go.
Say it slow.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm dying. Okay. Well, I'm gonna die.
You're okay, Miss Say.
Before you die, what's your third
okay.
honorable mention?
Yeah, what's your third one?
Yeah.
Okay. My third one is Night in the Woods.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, I didn't
Yeah,
play
Night
it,
in
but
the
I
Woods.
saw some people playing it, and it looks
Oh,
amazing.
it's so good. It's really, really
I need to
good.
play it.
Yeah,
There's
I
so
think
many
you
games,
were
dude.
streaming it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I played through basically 2 playthroughs of it. I didn't see everything in it because I couldn't find all of the characters, but it's so good.
What? So I actually do have a question about Night in the Woods though.
Yes.
Because I've only ever seen like little bits of footage here and there. What kind of game is it? Like what? Like describe it. Its basic features.
Its basic features is that I kind of compare it to almost a visual novel, but also a platformer. Because I say platformer because you actually do explore the town, and it's a side scroller. You go everywhere. You have to hop between the buildings, find all the characters in the buildings, and blah blah blah.
But it's very story heavy.
It's much more about the story and the characters that you meet, and there's not really any like you fall down this pit and you die sort of deal. So it's not really a platformer in that sense. It's more just exploring the world.
That honestly, that sounds right up my alley. I might actually have to try it out.
Dude, please play it. Dude,
Yeah.
like you should absolutely play it.
Heck yeah, man. Maybe I'll give it a try pretty soon actually, because I'm looking for new Switch games all the time, because all of my games, 100% of my games on this list today are Switch games. So
Wow.
we're going off of that. So
Okay.
do you want me to just start talking about my? Okay.
Kick it off,
So
yeah.
I have one major honorable mention and then 2 minor ones.
Okay.
So my major honorable mention is Moonlighter. You guys might have seen it around. It's a roguelike, it's a roguelite dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
And in between the dungeons, like going out and at night and exploring the dungeons, you run a shop during the day. And there's other games that have done this concept before, but I think that Moonlighter does it really, really, really well. Because to me, like, I'm not a huge fan of micromanagement, and this game sort of takes all the micromanagement out of shopkeeping, like that kind of aspect. So it's really like, it's more action-y than it is like having to plan a lot. Like, there's a little bit of planning, but not a ton. It's mostly just running around and managing your shop and like changing prices and running here and like stopping a thief and all this other stuff. So it's really cool.
Yeah, we were actually playing that on stream last night for Zelda Universe. I'll just plug that.
Hell yeah.
But we started playing a little bit of it, and I like it because it's sort of an RPG in the aspect that you start off with nothing and then you grow stronger in a slow pace, but it's not based off experience points, it's based off of money. And like, you earn more money, you can earn more stuff, and you can use that stuff to your advantage in order to get further along the game.
It really is almost like you could take the money symbol in front of all of the cash icons, like that, take that out of the game and replace it with experience points, and that's like basically the same thing, because you get money for basically everything that you do. Even in the dungeons, there's like this option for selling items for like a lower price to clear out your inventory and also give you a little extra money, because in order to leave the dungeon you also have to spend money too. So it's like this trade-off. It's really cool. I like it a lot.
That sounds really interesting.
It's really it's fantastic. It's got like this really awesome sort of like top-down pixel art, very nice, beautiful art style. It's awesome.
Very Zelda.
Oh, that's always a plus.
It plays a lot like Zelda. Yeah. It's really cool.
Neat.
So that's my honorable mention. I unfortunately haven't had the time to finish it this year. That's why I made it one of my honorable mentions, but it is one of my favorite games that I've played this year. So my other 2, I'll just go over them really quick. You might have played Sushi Striker. That game was fantastic.
Was it?
It was. It was actually really good. Did you play it?
I did
She
not
said
play
surprised.
It's actually really good. So
I just saw it and I was like, this looks like garbage.
It's so much better in handheld mode than it is not. If you don't play it in handheld mode, when you like using the touchscreen for all of the puzzles, it's way more fun that way. It's mostly like there's no strategy at all. It's just like run your hand across the screen and hope that you get all the things. But something about that is really cathartic sometimes. So I like it.
Interesting.
The other one
I'm
is my other honorable mention is Mini Metro, which is a game that you basically run a mini metro, and so you have like it's basically it looks like a underground map, like a subway map, and you have to move around the tunnels and the stops to like connect all of the different stops that keep appearing throughout the map. So they keep opening up new stops, and you have to connect them, and you can like add additional trains and that kind of thing. And it's really, really simple. It has like a really, really chill soundtrack, so it's a great game to play when you're just chilling out. So.
Ooh, awesome! I love that.
Yeah. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, check it out, Mini Metro. It's a great game.
Okay. I'm writing that down right now.
Do it up. It's really fun. It's really simple, but it's a great game to just, like I said, just shut your mind down and just listen to some like, chill tunes and manage a metro.
And this is on Switch?
It is on Switch. It's on PC and Switch and I think some other things. I think PlayStation and stuff. So yeah, it's everywhere.
Like whenever I go to bed, I usually like curl up with some really mind-numbing game and just kind of fall asleep until like I drop it on my face or something.
That's exactly what this game is, because they have they have a slightly more intense mode that has like you will like lose the game, but what ends up happening is if you do lose, it lets you continue in quote unquote endless mode. And what that ends up doing is changing the game mode entirely to and so what happens is, in order to lose the game, you run out of space basically on your metro, and like you haven't managed it well enough so that so many people build up at one stop, and then it's like too many people are there, you lose. But in endless mode, it's in order to progress further and unlock more like trains and that kind of thing, anyway, I'm talking way too much about this, but
honorable mentions.
Yeah. Anyway, endless mode is great. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
You're fine.
No worries. I'll just briefly go over my honorable
honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
You're welcome.
So my first honorable mention, I got it right this time, was Overcooked 2, actually.
Ooh.
And I really, really enjoyed the original Overcooked. I played it with my girlfriend and her friends, and like being able to do that 4-player co-op is fantastic. Like that's basically the spirit of the game, is like kind of being in that room and like talking to each other, and like having that communication and being able to work as a team and getting through these problems. Because there's a lot of like, it's a manic type of game, but there's a lot of problem solving. And so it's like, how do I make this work in order to get the high scores that we need?
Right.
And Overcooked 2 is just a more polished version of that. It adds a lot of extra features, and like throwing is actually new to Overcooked 2, and it's like a big deal. And the maps are now changed to kind of work with that, and that's always great. But that teamwork and that camaraderie is still there, and it's like a really great like team building exercise, honestly.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I played the original a little bit, and I loved what I played, but like I've always been interested in like playing through the whole thing and going over to Overcooked 2.
Yeah. I would have platinumed it on the PS4 if there was a platinum trophy, but we did get every trophy besides that. But Overcooked 2, it's a lot of fun what I've played. We just have not been able to finish it yet, so honorable mention there. And then second is Dragon Quest XI. That game, I love Dragon Quest. It actually would have been my number 1 had I beaten it, but I'm about 70 hours in and I still haven't yet. I'm just kind of taking my time through it. But I've just been loving just the old school style RPG elements to it. But I think, especially for the American version, they did add a lot of nifty things that, if you've never played Dragon Quest before, because it can seem very archaic at times. Wait, which game?
Sorry, I missed the title of the game. What game are you talking about now?
Dragon Quest 11.
Dragon Quest 11. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So I played Dragon Quest Builders this year, and that was pretty fun. That was actually like, I've never played a Dragon Quest game before though, so like I'm just playing around in like their Minecraft version of the world.
Well, what's interesting is that game's actually a retelling or like an alternate universe version of the very first game. So.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool.
But yeah, there are a lot of like quality of life improvements in this version in Dragon Quest 11, so it's accessible to, I think, some people that are interested in it. They are making a Switch version in Japan, It depends on how Square Enix feels about it, because this is a series that, like, maybe we'll get it in the West, maybe we won't. So it's a question as to, I think they'll look at the Switch numbers, they'll look at how it's sold on PS4, and we might get it on Switch, and that might have some even further improvements. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I want to move on to our top fives.
Go for it.
I think, Masay, you started first with your honorable mentions, so I'll let you start first with your number 5.
Okay, I felt a little bit weird putting this in at number 5, mainly because I feel bad, but I haven't actually beaten it, but also Pokemon is Pokemon is Pokemon, and my number 5 is Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah! Woo!
It's so good, and it's
Dude, I'm
so
on board.
cute. It's so wholesome, and I love it. It's so
good.
adorable. I know. This is like the first time in a long time that I've been like super in with like Pokemon. I am so absorbed in it, and I know I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
I am absolutely going to finish it, and like I couldn't say that for like the past couple of games.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that I disliked them. They just didn't capture me like Let's Go did.
How far have you made it so far?
I just finished up Lavender Town.
Okay. Yeah, actually,
So, like-
that's exactly where I'm at.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So we're,
Dude,
we're on the same track.
I'm exactly the same way as you. I feel the exact same thing. I'm like, it's so wholesome and cute. I love it.
I know. It's my feel-good game. When I need to sit back and relax and just like feel good about the world, I play it.
I mean, I binged that game the entire first weekend it came out. I didn't play anything else. I must have played at least 20 some odd hours of it.
I feel that.
Just in that one go.
Yeah, same. I got really obsessed with it, and then there 1,000 other games came out. It's been hard to get back to it, but I will. I definitely will.
And I feel like it has an advantage because again, Pokemon is Pokemon is Pokemon. It's pretty easy to pick back up wherever you left off too.
And you've probably beaten a version of Kanto at some point.
Yes.
Several.
Yeah. So like my big thing about why I haven't quite gone back to it yet is that I've been really picky about how I play it. I don't want to play it handheld. Like it's so big and cute, and I love it that I want to play it docked only. Slash, I really like the little Pokeball thing. It makes me feel like a Pokemon trainer, and I
honestly
feel really awesome.
do not feel shy about that, because I feel the exact same way. Again, I feel the exact same
we're
way.
besties. We are
besties.
besties.
I feel the exact same way. I'm like, we just gonna do TV. Me and Brooke just gonna do TV, and we started playing Let's Go Eevee, and it's co-op, so we're just playing it together on the couch. It's so cute and adorable.
That's so adorable. You guys are adorable. Also.
Aw, thank you.
Top 4. But yeah, I guess I'm okay with playing with undocked, but I mean, you get more experience playing it docked, apparently.
Do you really?
Yeah. So it's one of the combo multipliers.
Oh,
just
I didn't
using
know that.
motion controls actually gives you a combo multiplier.
Oh,
Wow.
interesting.
Or a catch multiplier, rather.
I had no
So
idea.
I think it's because playing it in handheld mode is not as satisfying as playing it in docked mode, so they want to encourage people to play it in docked mode.
it's
that makes sense.
I don't have as good a time trying to catch in undocked. So
Because when it's undocked, you have to like sort of flick the whole console a little bit. It's like, nah, I don't want to do that.
and then you have to return to center every time. Like, that's a lot easier to do with just the Pokeball or a Joy-Con, but having to do it in handheld mode is a little bit
Oh yeah,
interesting.
That's gross.
Yeah. Josh, what's your number 5?
So my number 5, so I actually kind of struggled a little bit with the order here, but I decided I was actually gonna put Pokemon as my number 5, but I didn't. I ended up doing Mario Party because Mario Party, Super Mario Party came out this year and was the most fun I've had with Mario Party in a very long time. So I had to put that on my list because it is so fun, and I really hope it gets DLC and adds like new boards and stuff. I would love that. I would be super okay with paying for that. I think honestly, looking at this list now, most of the games that I put on my list are all multiplayer games, because this year for me was so good for Nintendo multiplayer stuff. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Them releasing Mario Party and having it be good this year, alongside all this other stuff with Smash and Splatoon and all that, like, Yeah, I mean, it's a really good time to be a Nintendo, fan, and having a Mario Party. Like, having a Mario Party is like the pinnacle of, like, you can have all this like Smash or whatever that you expect, but it's been so long since we had a really, really good Mario Party.
Agreed.
A really
so
long time. 10 was so bad.
Yeah, 10 was bad. 9 was 8 was less bad than 9. And it's just kind of like, it's been getting worse and worse over the years. And to have them just suddenly release a great Mario Party suddenly,
yeah,
that's great. I'm so
Yeah,
happy.
I agree with you. I agree with you about the DLC because I feel like my main complaint with Super Mario Party is the boards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also my main complaint. The boards themselves are kind of okay, but there's not very many of them, and
I don't even know if I'd say that the boards themselves are okay because one of them you can actually break.
How so?
You know the one with the fruit in the ocean, and you have
It's
to
my
like
least
go
favorite
to-
one.
Yeah. The shop at the bottom left island always has like the golden warp pipe.
Oh yeah, you could totally break that level. Yep.
Yeah, you can just go around that thing like
Yep.
3 times, pick up 3 warp pipes, and then just spam it.
Yeah,
That's what I did, and I think at the end of one game I ended up with like 10 stars or something like that.
They definitely
was
need to make the
just-
shops more random, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't even think they're random. I think it's set by
They're not
board.
random. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. They need to
Yeah.
be random, is what I should say.
And
Yeah,
I feel like it's not a huge deal on most of the boards, but that one specifically because the islands are so small and you can loop back around really fast. It just
Not only that, but
work.
it's really annoying to go to another island. So like you're actually encouraged to stay on one island anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
You've actually got a big point. Especially with that board in particular, the fact that you have to land on specific spaces in order to actually move to the opposite side. I think that's maybe why they just made it so that the golden warp pipe is just there and available.
But that makes all of the focus on that one island
Again,
if you know about
exactly.
that. So
Because you can get there easily.
yeah, they've done similar boards before in previous Mario parties, but I feel like even though I didn't like them, they were done better than what they are here.
Some of the boards also, I don't know if you guys have played the team board.
I did.
Yeah.
That particular board is actually much better in team because
I agree.
They add additional stars on the other islands that you can go and try and obtain by doing specific things, and I think that that's way better. And it almost seems like it was designed for that, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say that I love that mode? It's like Fire Emblem Light, but multiplayer.
It's so good. It's really good. We
I'll have to check
struggled
that
a
out.
little bit because me and Brooke tried to do it on stream, and then we couldn't figure out. Like we didn't read any of the stuff that Toad was saying because we were on stream. We were just like,
no.
shut up, Toad. So we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Nobody listens to you. Who listens to you? We should
Also,
listen to him.
Toad is awful. Just putting that out there too.
So my number 5 is actually why I made the rule of the game didn't have to release in 2018. But what my number 5 is Star Tropics because I've never played that before.
Oh wow. Okay.
And we played it on Zelda Universe stream. I'll plug that again, I guess.
Do it.
Yeah, why not? And
Zelda Universe TV on Twitch.
Yep, twitch.tv/Zelda Universe TV. free real estate. Like I'd always wanted to play it. There are a lot of games that I kind of wanted to play that never got around to. And because of the NES Classic, I kind of was like, yeah, why not? And the game gets really frustrating at the end. It gets really frustrating. But it just kind of like, it gave me for lack of a better term, like a good feeling. Like playing certain old games kind of makes me feel happy. And
Yeah, especially
it
if
kind
you
of gave
enjoy
me
them.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Because sometimes it's hard to go back and play older games because sometimes it's, some of the design is a little rough. So you go back and like if you find yourself enjoying an older game, that's really good. It shows that it's held up over the years.
And it is very like it's trying to introduce people to RPGs because it's like you cannot progress until you talk to everybody, and then you have to talk to one specific person. So even if you played the game before and know what you need to do or are using a guide, you still have to talk to a certain amount of people before you can progress.
Oh, interesting.
So I think it was trying to teach players of the day like how to play RPGs that had come out on the Nintendo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of, it just felt good to me. And up until the end, it got really frustrating at the
Aww,
end.
that's too bad though.
That's upsetting.
Yeah. But other than that, like, it was, I had a really good time with it. So
awesome.
That was my number 5. So if we want to move on to all of our number 4s, Masay?
Sure thing. Josh, it's kind of funny that you said that, Pokemon was almost your number 5. Like, Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah.
Because, Let's Go Pikachu was almost my number 4, but at the last minute I was like, well... my number 4 is RimWorld.
Ooh, wait.
I have clocked 85 hours in that game.
Whoa.
It has been ridiculous, and it's stupid addicting. I really want to play it again and like make another campaign on it. Cause, have you guys ever heard of RimWorld?
No.
I have not. No, this is my first time hearing about it, and I'm looking at screenshots right now.
It's actually really good. Okay, so basically RimWorld is a strategy sort of, real-time strategy sort of deal, but the difference with it is that you are controlling essentially a colony that crash lands on a planet and you have to make them survive.
Oh my god.
The idea is that you take all of these people and you try to get them through basically a crisis and make their little fort be able to sustain the later things that happen.
Oh wow, that's cool.
But the actually really cool thing about it is that every single colonist has their own personality and their own traits, and it gets super deep. Like, you can have a colonist that's like really friendly and helpful, but they've lost an arm. So they do things slower, they can't do certain things. Or you can have a colonist that is like psychotic, so they don't actually get bothered by like a lot of the things that other people would get bothered by, but they're actually really helpful because you can send them off to like gather up bodies to feed to your worgans and to your bears, and it's so interesting. And it's like they can build relationships with each other, and depending on how well they get along, you might have fights break out, and it's basically just managing how they interact with each other and also trying to keep them alive.
That's actually super cool. Like, I'm looking at this right now, and I'm looking at a screenshot of somebody who made like a giant star-shaped like colony building thing, and it looks really cool.
Really
I see that.
things.
Yeah. I'm also looking at images on the internet.
It actually looks really charming.
To give you an idea of how detailed this gets, you can have pets, essentially. Some of them are helpful, some of them are just there to like boost your morale of your colonists. I started with a cat and on one of my playthroughs, and the cats don't really do much, they just kind of cheer people up, etc., etc. And I got raided by some of the people in another colony, and they came around and they started beating up my cat. I was like, no, my cat! And so I picked him up and I rushed him into my little house, and I had someone who was essentially a medic and a doctor and a surgeon. So I was having him like 24 hours on this cat. Please save my cat. And I looked at like I looked at like its status, and it was like bleeding from the spleen, and like it was missing an eye, and it was like a really beat up cat.
Dang.
But it survived, and I was really happy about this. And I was like, oh my god,
amazing.
I saved it. I saved this cat.
That's so cool that it has that level of detail.
It's so detailed, but when I kind of left it alone when I knew that the cat was going to live. I was like, okay, I'll let it recuperate, it'll be fine, and I'm going to go off and do other things. And then, like, several days later, I just kind of thought to myself, you know, I haven't seen the cat around. What happened to the cat? I know it survived.
Oh, no.
And I went and checked on him. I realized that the cat was still alive because they were still bringing it food. But it was still in the bed, and when I checked its status, it said that it had a broken spine, and it was paralyzed.
Oh no!
So that cat would never move again.
Oh no!
This cat will never move again.
And it was awful because I was like, okay, I could keep it alive and just kind of like keep it there, but it was making everyone sad and it was making me sad. And also it was taking up my precious resources. I did not have food. I didn't have food.
Did you put the cat down?
I did.
Oh!
I know. I was heartbroken. I was so sad. I was so sad about this. It was so distressing. I was like...
Video games are awesome.
I know, right?
Tail.
So that's like the level of detail that game can have. It's so good. It is so good. And like, if you get raided and you can actually take people prisoner, and if you like their stats and the type of traits that they have, you can actually like try to recruit them into your colony.
Oh, but that could go. I'm guessing that could go south on you.
That can go super south. They can escape. They can kill your people. They can just. It can. Any number of things can happen.
Speaking of games that can do a lot of things, my number 4 is Binding of Isaac, which is another one of those games that definitely did not come out this year.
No.
But this year, it was the first year that I really, really played Binding of Isaac. Like, really, really. And they have a new DLC coming out at the beginning of next year, so
right.
I'm like super, super excited for that. Binding of Isaac is just amazing. I'm sure that both of you have played it, at least to some degree, or seen it.
I have played
seen it, yeah.
It's hard.
It is. It's hard. It's really hard. But I'm getting really good at it because I'm playing just so much of it. And it's another great game to have on the Switch because I can just play it in handheld mode.
Right,
and that's
that
a
makes sense.
Great game to play in handheld mode. I love. I'm not going to say too much about it because I know that everybody's probably heard of Binding of Isaac or played it. But it's amazing. It's one of my favorite games now. So
cool.
That is a solid pick.
Hell yeah, man.
My number 4 is a little weird because I actually did not expect to really enjoy this game as much as I did. But Fire Emblem Heroes.
Ooh.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Oh.
Yeah, neither was I. I had bought the collector's edition because like they're just on super markdown if you can still find it. Like that game did so poorly. But I went ahead and bought it, and we were on a plane trip to Florida earlier this year, and I just decided, all right, I'm gonna whip this out, and I'll probably beat the campaign by the time we land. And that wasn't the case, but I plugged in about maybe 95 to 100 hours in it, and that game has so much content. It just has, it's not quite as, its adventure mode isn't quite as bad as Hyrule Warriors, where you have to kind of think about where it is that you're gonna go, or you just kind of replay the same missions over again. But it can still take up a lot of time. Some of the missions aren't that great, I'll say, but I just got so sucked into it. It's one of maybe I want to say it's one of maybe 3 games this year that I've plugged in more than 50 hours into.
Wow.
And it just kind of crept up on me. Like, I didn't expect it, and then all of a sudden I looked at my save file, and it's like, oh, I haven't put this down since the plane trip.
Those are the best when it's like you play so much of a game, and then 50 hours in, you're like, oh, wow, I've played a lot.
Yeah, I suddenly have a beard now. People are complaining about a smell. So, yeah.
Andrew,
that's my number 4.
It hasn't been that long. You just take a shower, man. Come on.
No, I just one more. Just one more.
Meanwhile, he's like wiping like sweat off his brow. Like, oh. He's just so into it.
This went to a disgusting place. Masay, number 3.
My number 3 is actually Danganronpa V3.
Danganronpa.
Yes, I'm super into that, and I got sucked into that world, and V3 frustrates me. Like, I love Danganronpa, but V3 specifically has like some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows, but I definitely think it has a spot on my list because I still have not stopped obsessing over the characters.
I guess it's a little hard to talk about it without spoiling.
Yeah, I played it at the beginning of this year, and to this day, I'm still completely obsessing over it. Okay, I have a thing to say. It's funny that we're talking about this right now because yesterday, I'm actually visiting Adriana right now, and so we're hanging out.
Tell her I said hi.
I will. And
tell her I said hi, but then be like, it's fine, you don't know him.
She will be thrilled anyway. So I played it with her when I was also visiting her early this year, and we went from start to finish, played through the whole thing in the span of like 3 days, something like that. And this trip, she gave me a body pillow of one of the characters that I really like.
Oh man.
Yep. It is one of those.
Dakimakura.
Yes.
It is not lewd. I'm just gonna put that out right there. He is clothed on both sides of the pillow.
Show us a picture.
I mean, Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah.
I will. You know, hit me up after this. I will take a picture of it and prove it to you that it is not lewd.
Putting it up on the screen right now.
Dude, by the time this goes up, it's already going to be blasted all over Twitter, so go for it.
Probably. Oh yeah, that's that pillow.
People have been trying to get me to play Danganronpa for a long time.
It's a really big stream game.
It
has been for the last year or two.
I'm almost sad that I didn't stream it, but by the time I finished the first game, I was like, you know...
Isn't it one of those games where it's like, if it's really hard to put down, do you really want to stream it and limit yourself?
Yeah, it kind of is one of those games, but... Also, part of the reason why you might be a little bit iffy on it is that obviously it's a very heavy spoiler game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like glance over at chat, it's super easy for someone to be like, so-and-so dies. So-and-so lives. So-and-so is behind everything.
To be honest, I think that's one of the reasons why I've avoided playing it, because I don't really have the time to play it off stream, and if I played it on stream, I wouldn't want to get spoiled. So it's kind of like this back and forth of, should I play it off stream? Should I play it on stream?
I know that Tim streamed it. Maybe you could ask him like if he had any precautions or how his community was with spoilers, because you know it really just depends. Also, it helps if you have good mods to like nip those in the bud.
And I know Tim tends to play.
Also,
Tim tends to play a lot of those types of games, so I think maybe just works in his favor that his chat is kind of like, it's understood, but I haven't really watched a lot of his streams where he plays those types of games, mostly because it's so story centric that if you see it, then that kind of ruins it. Like, you'll never be able to have that experience yourself.
Yeah.
So I know it's really good for people who have already played it, but yeah.
See, my whole thing is that I'm never. So me personally, I'm not a huge story and video games person, which is literally the entirety of what Danganronpa is. Yeah. So that's another reason that sort of deterred me from playing it. But that makes it even worse when people do spoil stuff, because the whole point of the game is the story. So right.
Well, I know
totally
some streamers have gotten like upset if they catch something, or like they see the comment section if they put it on YouTube. Like, there have been some like issues regarding spoilers.
It's a lot easier to avoid it putting it on YouTube instead of doing it live.
That's true too.
Avoid the comments or whatever, which is still hard as a creator sometimes, because you open up the YouTube creators app and it shows you your top like 4 comments. Or it's like, so and so died. Well, thanks.
And also Twitter.
So and so dies.
Twitter is really hard to avoid things on if like people really put their minds to it. So.
Yep. Anyway,
what's your number 3? Yeah.
My number 3. My number 3 is I'm going to talk about this real quick because this is a game that everyone's played. Smash Brothers. I mean, I put Smash Brothers on the list.
I just bought it yesterday. Tell me about it.
Of course I did. It's
fight me, you two. Fight me right now.
Right now, let's go.
Right now.
Smash.
All right.
It's got so much content. That's the thing that surprised me the most, is that there's so much to do. I put like 10 hours into it, which is not even that much, and like I can tell that I've just kind of scratched the surface of like the single player, and there's just so many things. It took me like 5 hours just to unlock all the characters. Like, it's absurd how much there is to do, and I am happy about that because that means that I can play this for the next 2 years and be happy.
Yeah, I considered putting it on my list for actually pretty much the same reasons, but also I'm not huge into Smash Brothers, and I haven't even unlocked all of the characters yet.
Same.
So I'm going very gradually into it. I enjoy it, and if anything, this is the Smash Brothers that I want to be good at. So I'm trying, and I'm actually doing like the online a little bit and practicing and trying to get good.
So that's exactly what I'm doing. That's actually the same thing that I had. Like I tried to do that with Smash 4, and I unfortunately, so Smash 4 had a weird release schedule where they released the 3DS version like a week beforehand.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening is I bought the 3DS version, which I said I wasn't gonna. I said I was gonna wait until the Wii U version, but I couldn't.
Same.
So I bought the 3DS version, loved the crap out of it, played the crap out of it for a week, and then the Wii U version came out, and I was like, well, I'm already playing this other version. Like, I already unlocked a bunch of things and, you know, did all this other crap.
Same.
Why would I go and play the Wii U version? But then everybody plays the Wii U version because it's the console one, and I guess better in some way. But
they just traded in the 3DS version for the Wii U version.
Yeah, and so that kind of ruined the experience for me a little bit, but with this, I was like, I need this to be the Smash game that I really get into finally.
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same way. Dude, for real though, fight me. Let's fight.
Okay. Yeah.
I need a practice buddy, so...
Yeah, me too. Let's do it.
Dude, I'm down.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Andrew, you too.
That's all
you just got it, right?
Yeah, and right now I'm just going through World of Light, and I don't like that it takes me about 3 business days to get every character, but I really like how it plays. I've been playing it on and off at like friends' houses over the last week.
Yeah.
But
World of Light is the slowest but most fun way to unlock the characters.
If there's one thing that I can say, I know that a lot of people have qualms about having to unlock the characters gradually and how long it takes. And I totally get that, especially with like how fleeting time is these days. But also, I do kind of appreciate it. Just me personally, I appreciate it because it's actually forcing me to play characters that I never would have played before.
Yeah.
And I'm actually learning things about how each individual characters work. And if you actually told me to sit down with a full roster and have to like figure out who I would actually like to play and focus on, that I would be like, yeah, give me Pikachu, and that
you would automatically go for your main.
Exactly. To be fair, like, I did that, so.
But yeah, for me personally, I feel like it's making me more of a flexible player, and I actually can play several characters that I never really expected to be able to play now. So in that way, I kind of do like the way that they force limit you, because otherwise I wouldn't have limited myself. I would have been like, hey, give me that Pikachu.
Yeah. I was one of the people that was in the camp of like, I was kind of annoyed by, I actually tweeted about it, that I was kind of annoyed by unlocking the characters, but then people shared similar perspectives to you, Masae, and it sort of changed my mind on it, actually, because the way that I was personally unlocking it was I was sort of cheesing it, where I would start a match, kill myself, fight the character, unlock him, and then just restart the game.
Yeah, you have to do it again. Yeah.
Because you could just do that. That's the fastest way to unlock characters, but it's also the most unfun. It's just
it's absolutely.
So that was me
grind.
for the first. Yeah, that was me for the first like 3 to 5 hours of the game. Was just it took me like 5 hours because I suck at the game, so I kept losing to the characters I was trying to unlock, and eventually I stopped getting them. Well, yeah, I mean, well, did they?
Apparently, that was the new patch that went yesterday, I think.
Okay, they made it.
Yeah.
Oh, recently, okay, because they were all like level 9 CPUs.
So that's a badge of honor you can wear.
Cool. So I unlocked all the characters at their level 9 thing before the patch. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty awesome.
That means you're good at Smash Brothers. That means
I'm not so sure about that.
All right. We can talk about Smash Brothers. We can do another one of these just for Smash Brothers.
We could,
yeah. I will move on. I'll move us along. So my number 3 is because I couldn't get by this without somehow putting Dragon Quest in here. I finally beat Dragon Quest VIII for the 3DS, and this is actually something weird. So I've played the PS2 version, finished that like years and years ago, but I never actually did any of the post-game stuff. And I think this is another instance where like I kind of slowed things down, and I really tried to get to do all the extra stuff that the game wants me to do. But there were so many like quality of life improvements again with this release of it, where even though it kind of, the PS2 version had a symphonic soundtrack and the 3DS does not, but I would 100% tell everyone, like, pick one version, play the 3DS version. There's so many improvements that were made to the 3DS version of the game that really makes it more like, it encouraged me to actually do the extra stuff. Because I was so kind of burnt out when I played it on PS2 that I was just like, all right, I beat the game. I know there's a post game. I don't care. I'm moving on. But with this, I was like, I actually want to try it. I want to try and do all these things that I can see online. I studied, I looked at stuff, and I actually had a really fun time with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
so
got the better ending.
Dragon Quest VIII, I believe, is actually the only Dragon Quest game that I've tried, because that was recommended to me for the 3DS, and I bought it, and I played actually a good number of hours of it. But my problem is that I always kind of like fall away from JRPGs. That's why I don't play a lot of them, because I play like 10 hours. I'm like, oh, I've only basically scratched the surface. You know, like I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to play Splatoon 2 again. You know, like
yeah, exactly. and for me, this was like game number 4 where I spent I think this one was again like maybe 90 hours, but this was well, I think I started playing it in 2017. So you know, but it did take me a while to finish it.
Gotcha.
And the thing about Dragon Quest is that it is one of the more simplistic JRPGs you'll ever find, because it doesn't have any of the like improvements or like active battle systems like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy does. But that kind of also runs against it, because if you don't like the grind, if you don't like slow-paced JRPGs, you're not gonna like Dragon Quest at all. Like I want more people to play it, but I get it.
So, as somebody whose first Dragon Quest game was Dragon Quest Builders, I going back and playing Dragon Quest VIII was, to me, really interesting, because you could see sort of where that kind of JRPG came from, you know, because it was on the PS2, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was really eye-opening, because I don't play a lot of these games, so it was cool to sort of try and experience it. I think the thing that I liked the most is just the world and the characters and interacting with people and seeing, like, you know, either funny things that they're doing or like just interesting character designs and interesting world designs. I liked that the most, and like the music as well is fantastic.
Yeah, and with 8 in particular, I think it has probably the best story I've seen in a Dragon Quest game. I would say 11 has the best gameplay elements, but 8 definitely has like the most cohesive story. Like everything that goes on in the story matters, and it flows really well. Nice. So if anybody was like, what's the first one I should play? 8 definitely, maybe 11.
It's funny because I can't really add much to this conversation because I've never touched a Dragon Quest game, but I was literally just about to ask you what I should start with.
I would say, yeah, it depends. Like, if you want to dust off that 3DS, then I would definitely say 8. 11 is also really good in terms of just all the gameplay improvements, and it's, especially on PS4, it's just beautiful. If you have like a 4K TV and a PS4 Pro. But I think, especially if you want to wait to see if the Switch version of 11 does come out, 8 would be the best one to play in the meantime.
I see. Okay.
That was actually the same advice that I got from Twitter when I asked. Was 8.
Yeah. A lot of people love 8. And 11 had just come out, I think, September or October. So the West just got its hands on it. I think Japan's had it for a year, like 2 years now. So.
Nice.
Of course.
Cool.
It's hard to port that game. So number 2, Masai.
Okay, so my number 2 is, I'm sure everyone has already played this. Most people anyway, but Super Mario Odyssey.
Yay!
Yeah!
Oh.
Odyssey is so good. It's like the most fun I've had with a Mario platformer since Sunshine.
That would have been in my
man.
top 5 if I hadn't finished it in 2017.
Oh, yeah.
See, that was my thing. I actually didn't put it on the list because I finished it in 2017, but I did play it a bunch in 2018, so I guess I could have put it on this list.
See, like, I finish games really slow, with very few exceptions, so I actually only finished Odyssey, like, a couple of months ago, and even then, that's just the main story. I didn't do the post-game yet. I still need to do that, but... it's definitely
there's so much content in that game too. That's another one.
I know.
Nintendo's hitting it out of the park, man, with Breath of the Wild and
both of those games can just eat up time.
Yep.
And probably if I tried to do the post game, I could have probably put it on this list just because of how long the post game is.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like it's exceedingly fun, and it just flows really well. And there's no reason to feel bad about like playing it slowly, like taking your time with it. I at one point I was trying to beat games as fast as I could because I had a backlog, but I think the more that I've kind of gotten into certain games, the slower I've played them, just to like really take them in. So
yeah,
Dude, I'm still working on Fallout 4. Like, I've
game's
started
been out for
several
years,
new
Josh.
characters. Well,
I
okay,
mean-
all right.
I'm still playing Skyrim, so...
I'm mad at Bethesda right now because Fallout 76 is bad.
a lot of people are
I've heard
mad.
things. I've heard bad things.
It's not bad. It's the game itself is great. It's just a buggy mess and like basic features are broken. Anyway, I don't want to rant about that.
Well, we can get to that in a few minutes. But what is your number 2, Josh?
My number 2, I didn't realize that this was so convenient, but my number 2 is Splatoon 2.
Hey!
Because
Woomy.
that, first of all, Splatoon 2, great game. Obviously didn't come out this year, but you know what did come out this year? The Octo expansion.
I almost said Octopath.
Octopath
I've
expansion.
done that before.
Yeah.
First of all, so the Octo expansion might be my favorite DLC from any game ever.
It's,
To be honest.
I have not played it all yet, but like
It's
looks
so
really good.
unique and different from the rest of the game, and that's what I love about it, is that it feels like a DLC. It feels like a full add-on. It doesn't feel like missing content. It doesn't feel like this is something that should have been in there at the start. In fact, it actually feels like because they had the extra time to release it later, that it became better as a result. There's so much uniqueness to it. I love it. And you
that's
unlock
so
some cool like equipment and stuff, and you unlock obviously the Octoling to play as in multiplayer. So there's a lot of really cool additions. And the other thing about Splatoon 2, the other reason why I put this on the list is because they're constantly releasing new updates. They're constantly releasing new maps, and they're releasing new weapons and all this stuff. They're adding content to the game all the time. So this game, I mean, it's amazing. Splatoon 2 is so good.
Splatoon 2 is really, really good. I feel bad because I was really, really good at the first game, but I feel like the second game I just kind of didn't have time to practice as much as I used to, so I feel like I'm really rusty now.
Yeah, admittedly, I fell off pretty quick.
Shame on you!
What?
Shame.
Shame! Shame!
Wow.
But yeah, I definitely
This is
am
my
in the
house.
process of like wanting to play more and get better again.
Anyway, that was my second, my top 2 there, or well, not my top 2. You know what I'm saying?
Your top second.
Your number 2.
My number 2. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It was really hard to get that out, but you know, if you push really hard. So
Oh my god!
Andrew, I hate you. What's your number 2? No, answer it legitimately. I know what you're thinking.
if it's really runny, is that bad? Or?
No. Andrew.
You know, it
Honey.
would be great if your answer right now was Super Mario Run.
I was gonna say, like, if I was trying to figure out how to make that work in the joke. If it was a runner,
Yeah.
maybe if it was like weirdly miscolored. But my number 2 is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a game I bought and never played.
I want
and
to
here's
play
the
that
thing.
so bad.
I got, it came out a week before Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild won out in everyone's hearts and minds.
Yep.
But
yeah,
for me,
that's painful.
I wound up getting Zero Dawn for Christmas in 2017, and I basically started playing it. And again, that was, I want to say maybe 70 hours, because I did everything, and I did the DLC campaign. And I think I like what you said earlier, Josh, about how the Octoling DLC kind of like is a big expansion. It kind of reminds me of like late 90s PC expansions, how this is just like, oh, this is literally an attachment to the main game.
Yep.
And Frozen Wilds, the DLC campaign, sort of does, it adds a little bit of extra stuff, but unfortunately it doesn't really hit the mark in the same way. It's literally one of those things where it adds more to the story, and it came out after you would normally beat the main campaign, but you have to do it, or like, the story takes place before you beat the game, and so it's just oddly placed.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm not a huge fan of that. I like when they release DLC that it like actually feels like it, like I said earlier, like expands on the game instead of just like shoehorning it into the middle of the story.
And yeah, I was really hoping it would be an extra bit that would attach itself at post-ending, but it's one of those games where you save it and you can always go back and do the final sequence and just get everything and complete it. Like, they want to make sure that you can complete the game 100%, but like still, it kind of didn't hit the same mark for me. But other than that, like the fact that that's another game that I actually did platinum, because it was an easy platinum, and it was just a game that I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do this. I really like this game.
I really like what, not to bring up Fallout again, but I really like what Bethesda does with their DLCs, which is, and I wish more game companies did this actually, where the DLCs are all separate stories, but they add little, like, extra details to the overworld too. So, like, when you're done with the DLC, it still feels like the DLC exists in that world, because, like for Skyrim, for example, when you do that vampire DLC, vampires start to show up in the world. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, right. More games need to do that, and I think that, But no, that's great. That's awesome that Horizon Zero Dawn is one of those games that I really need to go back and play.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. So number 1, we are finally at the end of this list. Not in a bad way. This has been a very enjoyable experience, but all things must come to an end. So Masae, all good things, all bad things stay forever, apparently. So Masae, what is your number 1 game that you played in 2018?
My number 1 game. Okay, I'm not entirely sure. I had such a hard time numbering this list, because I like everything for different reasons. Yeah. And even though I'm not sure if I would have given this like the top spot normally, I feel like it exceeded all of my expectations for it in every single way, and that is Celeste.
That's my number 1!
Are you serious? Oh my god!
I actually figured that you were gonna pick that game.
Oh my
Heck
god!
Yes,
dude. Oh. We're besties now. Just saying.
Yes, we're besties. We have to be. Celeste number 1. Heck yes.
Celeste number 1.
The Game Awards agree with us.
Yes, absolutely, dude. Like, on
God of War
won,
like, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
never mind.
It almost
Celeste
won.
Celeste got some awards too.
It won some stuff.
It won things, but Celeste is like, I don't know. It's exceeded every single one of my expectations. I was I went into it completely blind. I was like, yeah, it's a really hard platformer. Like, it's just gonna be your bog standard indie platformer, but it has really good level design. That's what I went into expecting, and then I got so much more out of it than what I thought was coming at me. Down to like the characters, the story that it has, and like the little cutscenes, and obviously the level design is top notch, and the physics of it feels so satisfying. I love it.
I mentioned earlier
so
that
good.
Story-based games are not really my I don't play games before the story. So for me, Celeste's initial draw was the platforming was just really tight and excellent. Level design was amazing, like you said, and some of the levels are so cool looking, and they have really cool features. Like the thing where you go through like that weird space stuff and you just fly through it, and there's all kinds of really cool stuff. But that being said, the story hit really close to home, being like about mental health and stuff. Without giving away too much, It's so good.
It's
so good.
I feel like it's so relatable, and it touches on
is.
it just enough that it doesn't feel preachy, but also it definitely is nuanced into a lot of like what people struggle with these days. What even like if you don't seem like you struggle with these things, it gives something that almost anyone can relate to in some way or another, and it does it in such a respectful, really nice way.
It really does. It's amazing, and you know, like I said, it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool to see it, like, as I was going, because I streamed it too, so it was kind of interesting because people were like, I was like, yeah, the story, whatever, and we're reading the dialogue, and I'm kind of like goofing around, you know, giving voices to all the characters and stuff. And then it sort of started to get a little bit more serious, and like I really started to pay more attention as the game went on. And I was like, oh, wow, like all the little details about like how it touches on different like mental, like whatever, like things that you think about, anxiety, depression, that kind of thing. It really touches a little bit on each of these feelings that you might have, and all of these things are things that I felt before, and I'm like, this, I can relate to this game so much.
Yeah, it's like,
and
ow.
The platforming is awesome.
Yeah, you
that's
go.
the best part.
You go into it for the platforming, and you come out of it with all of these other things, and that's what really made it stand out to me.
So I actually avoided this game, but to be fair, I had no idea about the story. Because when you look at it, it does look like, all right, this is just, you know, Super Meat Boy kind of with different physics. And so I was initially sort of like, I don't really know if I want to do that, but I think the more people started talking about it, the more that the story came up in conversation. So I think it's piqued my interest a little bit more.
I think so. I think the thing that the most important takeaway for the game for me is that the level design and the gameplay and the story are also interconnected, because the game design itself represents different emotions basically in the way that you're playing each level.
Yeah,
so some levels are
I love that.
Really fast paced and like sort of like you're being chased by something or whatever, and that's sort of like to represent anxiety. And then there's like darker levels that are slower and more monotonous, but like not in like a bad way. It's really, really well crafted.
And
it's
if you
really
look at
if
you look at some of the like visual aspects of it, a lot of it is also very, if you look into it in detail, a lot of it is actually symbolic for the different things that they are feeling and that they are going through. And you wouldn't actually notice it unless you think about it. And then once you realize it, it's like, oh, that's why this thing is doing what it is. This is why this is in the background, etc., etc. And it's so good. And if it helps at all to convince you to give it a try, I know that Celeste has a reputation for being like this really hard platformer, and you're gonna sit there for ages on like this specific thing. The learning curve is really gentle. They did so well in the difficulty progression that by the end of the game, when I was doing really hard things, it felt like a slope. It was it was so gentle. It introduced everything beautifully, and by the time I went back to like the early parts of the game to like do a little bit of the post game, it felt so stupid easy, and I was like, wait, I was struggling with this just like a few days ago.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I remember when it first came out, and I almost heard nobody talk about the story, because most people were trying to speedrun it because it was such a good speedrunning game.
Yeah.
So I guess it never really dawned on me that there was a plot. So I guess I'll have to try and take another look at it. I mean, with platformers, I really actually enjoy platformers. And I feel like if this game had come out when I was like a teenager, I probably would have like dove for it immediately.
Right.
But yeah, I guess I'll have to go ahead and give it a shot.
But Andrew, I thought you were 14. What the hell?
I'm 29.
So solemn. I'm 29.
It sounded so sad.
Death approaches.
Like crushed.
Dude, I gave you the 14. I gave you it.
Do I sound 14 to you?
Yes.
All right.
What's your number one game, Andrew?
My number one game. So it's funny you mentioned the Game Awards because they actually agreed with me this year. So God of War was actually my number one game of 2018. And
Wow.
it's because this is another game where it is very challenging, actually. Like, the fighting mechanics is unlike anything that you've played before if you've played the first 3 games. And that's your entire context of the series. It's very more towards that slow-paced Dark Souls type of gameplay. And, like, the camera's, like, right behind you rather than that fixed camera that the first 3 games used to have. So it increased the challenge. You had to think more. It wasn't quite a button masher. I mean, certain combos definitely work better than others, but, like, there's an equipment system that sort of makes the game more robust. But I think what really did it for me was the fact that, and I was talking about it with my girlfriend during the Game Awards, like, this was a game whose story was so solid that it took, like, the world's most unlikable video game character in the entire world and made you sympathize him for the first time.
Oh, cool.
Wow. That is cool.
Because basically everyone, I remember when this game was still in production, people were just like talking about, like, going through the first 3 games again and playing him. It's like, God, he is the worst character ever. He is the most annoying, like, worst person he's just a baby. He's a big baby. And you kind of see this game and it's like, oh, like, it changes him so much. And I think what I also really enjoyed about it was there's a lot of mythology involved.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend's actually really big into mythology. So it was kind of fun for the both of us to play the game. Like, I was playing it and she basically, like, she was watching the entire story as I went through it. And it was just really fun to kind of, like, learn different things like I had never known about with mythology because it's pretty close to the mark. And,
what kind of mythology is it based on?
So this time it's based off Norse mythology.
Ooh, I am all in. I love Norse mythology so much.
Well, there you go.
I'm a junkie for that stuff.
Yeah.
That's I actually really like that they're like sort of combining different mythologies into the lore of the world for God of War, because that to me shows, like, because they can add anything from here on out if they do that. If they do that well, if they merge different mythologies into one game. It could be the mythology game. You play as, Kratos, and it's just like, it's so cool. It's so cool to me.
And
I actually do like it. I've never played any of the God of War games, but I have seen a lot from this new game. I watched a little bit of the Game Grumps play it.
Yeah.
And it looks fantastic, and I actually really want to play this one, especially now that it's Game of the Year too, because it's like people see this, and there's a lot going for it apparently.
But that's it for I think all 3 of our top 5s. Do we have time? Because I think we're technically at about an hour.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's up to you. This is your show, but
it is my show.
It's my house. Our least favorite game this year?
I do kind of want to talk about our least favorite games this year.
All right.
I will let Masae go first.
Okay, so I don't play a whole lot of bad games, so like
it can't just be the least favorite, like.
Okay, but also I feel like if I give any game that I've played that slot, it's almost like, this game was not as good. This game was trash.
You can skip it if you want.
No, I'm not skipping it because my choice
I'm not gonna back down.
My choice is Mario Teaches Typing. There you go. I played that this year. I played that in its entirety this year.
What is
maybe
the backstory
just like a
here?
month ago.
What happened?
What happened to you?
Yeah.
That's an appropriate question.
Who hurt you?
Adriana hurt me, if that's what you want to know.
Wait, what? The lore deepens.
I was about to say, is she like sitting behind you? Is this her fault?
Yes, it actually is her fault. Okay, so I mentioned that I visited her like a couple of months ago, a month or two ago, and we were just hanging out, and she just ended up on this place where you can play all of these old CD games like Putt Putt, Pajama Sam, like super duper old games, and it was super nostalgic, and we were having a blast, and we just landed on Mario Teaches Typing.
Oh my god.
And we were super intrigued by it because it's very clearly, obviously not Mario. It's like, welcome to Mario Teaches Typing! And it's supposed to be Mario, but it's not.
You're not Mario.
Yeah, we were just like super intrigued by this. So we literally just sat and I think we played it for a good few hours. It was ridiculous. And like, I'm glad I played it now because that gives me an easy out on this worst game bit.
Yeah, I think
it was either that or I was gonna have to pick Kirby Star Allies.
Ooh.
So my least favorite game of this
What
year.
is it, Josh?
My least favorite game that I played this year was Gex 64 Enter the Gecko. That I was forced to play by our dear host here, Laughingboy.
I don't know what
LP,
you're talking
aka
about.
Andrew.
You were so interested.
No.
intrigued.
Andrew has crafted. Let me clear the air.
All right.
Andrew has crafted this story about how I love Gex for some reason, and now and then he got me to play it, and it's bad, and I hate it, and I never want to play it again. And I blame you for everything, Andrew.
But you're totally gonna play it again too.
Yeah.
But I'm totally gonna play it again because I feel like I need to complete it. You know what I mean? Like, it's bad and I don't like it. But
It's
it is a
called
classic
Stockholm
3D
Syndrome.
platformer. It is a classic 3D platformer, and I love that about it because I love classic 3D platformers. But there are so many other choices to play instead of this one.
Okay, that to me that's really interesting. And we were talking about this shortly before we started. That I actually played Gex when I was very young, and I remember it being really good.
Everything's good when you're a kid.
I know, but it's really
Everything's good when
interesting to
you're
me
dumb.
that you have just this really vehement like disdain for it, and I'm
think-
sitting here like, wasn't that game good?
I
think
think
the
disdain for it
backstory.
is mostly crafted as like a part of this meme
There's
because
there's
there's
a
a whole
history.
story about how Andrew is like streaming Gex and then they raided me or something. Anyway, my point is that this whole thing is blown out of proportion. Gex is okay. It's all right.
It's
Whatever.
it's
like not
serviceable.
the worst game in the world, but
It's okay. It's just bottom of your list as the worst game you've played this year.
Well, I mean, I don't play bad games either, so I try to
Dude,
avoid bad games.
I pulled Mario Teaches Typing out of my butt,
Wow.
Well,
and that's a
whatever.
pretty
hurt?
bad game.
It is a pretty bad game. But Gex is okay. There's definitely some rage that happens, but whatever. I felt like I needed to mention it in this thing with Andrew because that's like our joke.
That's fair. That's fair.
And that's
I'm
my out.
actually like, I'm actually interested in playing it again, just because of this.
This is
Don't
good.
tell anyone, but I'm
This
seriously
is-
interested in playing it again.
This is the history that I'm creating. No, seriously, it was the whole thing was we rated him because my friend I didn't even play it. My friend wanted to play
You ass.
Gex 3 on stream, and we were like, cool, fire it up. That sounds like a good idea. People will love it. We're a Zelda channel. And so
Oh my
we
god.
played Gex 3, and we were just laughing, having a good time. And we rated Josh, and he just was like, "Oh, Gex? I played that game. That game sucks." And so we were just like, "Wouldn't it be funny if we just continued to tell everybody that Josh Jepson loves Gex?"
Jack Jepson.
Yes, Josh Gexon loves Gex.
Josh Gexon. There you go.
And
There it
that's
is.
like his favorite game of all time. What if we like just said all these lies about him and just made it into the truth.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you know what? And it happened.
And then it happened. My favorite part was, and we mentioned it on stream, but I think at some point, like, you guys were doing the fan meetup at PAX.
Yeah.
And
oh, yeah.
and I was just there to be at the food trucks. I just serendipitously happened to be standing behind Josh.
That
and
sounds like
somebody goes up to him and he just goes, have you ever thought about playing Gex on stream?
And I turn around and there's freaking Andrew there. I think I called you over, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I
didn't even know why.
I looked up and I see him over there at the food trucks and I pointed at him.
Yeah, he pointed at me and then.
I said, but.
Well, no, you were just like, you did the signal. You did the hand signal.
Oh yeah.
That sounds rude.
And I was just like, what happened? And he's just like, so this gentleman over here told me or asked me if I would play Gex on stream, and I turned around and there you are. And I was like, yeah, what up? And when are you gonna do it? But no, like, it was just, we kind of just,
it sort of just happened.
This was something that I wanted to happen, but I didn't think it was gonna happen.
That's
so
hilarious.
I do want to defend Gex a little bit.
Yeah.
And also defend me a little bit, because when I first played Gex and when I said it sucked, the only level I had played is that stupid haunted house level, which is one of the first levels in the game, and it's really bad. It's just a really terrible level. But when me and Andrew streamed it, I discovered that this is like this cartoon-themed level, way better level. It was so much more fun.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so there's definitely some fun in there somewhere. You just gotta find it.
You just you just have to look real closely. And here's the thing: my worst game of 2018 is also Gex, but only because
go to hell, Andrew.
Only because I kept playing it after that stream, and so one of the things that I didn't want to mention during the stream was that I was getting so sick. Like, I was actually getting really bad motion sickness. And that's why I had to cut it off after a couple hours, because I was like, I'm gonna vomit if I keep playing.
The camera wobbles around too much. It really does.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the camera's really bad.
It's one of those early 3D games where the developers didn't know how to do cameras, and so they were like, let's just do it for the player. Let's just never give them control. And so the camera just runs around all over the place, and I was not having it. Yeah. And so, like, halfway through the stream, I'm just kind of like, yeah, Gex.
Then we got to hour 2 of the stream, and it was clear to me that Andrew was ready to wrap up.
Yeah. So I had a good time. But yeah, I played it a little bit more, and I was like, maybe it was just because I was hungry. No, I got motion sickness again during the second stream, and I'm like, I don't think I can keep playing this. So really, it's like my body rejected it.
That's a pretty intense way to dislike a game.
Yeah.
That your physical being rejected Gex.
That's amazing.
So I guess
that's
the joke's
retribution.
on
That's
me.
what that is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, those were my picks. But yeah, Gex is definitely like the worst one that I can't finish it. I really can't. Gex 3 is better.
Lineup. Gex and Mario Teaches Typing.
Mario Teaches Typing.
Well, you know what that means. We need to play Gex and Mario Teaches Typing as our main stream thing. That's what we all have to do that together.
Can I do a Mario Teaches Typing randomizer?
Oh my god.
How would that work?
Just none of the words are words. It's just fine.
Just all random letters.
X, Y. Yeah, I don't know. So I think that's it. I think that wraps it up for me. And actually, the recording time was about as long as I thought it'd be. So good job, team. Give yourselves a nice pound on the back.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you for having me along. Yeah. This was fun.
I do enjoy these little talks. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. It was a lot of fun to talk about this stuff with you guys. So
yeah.
Thanks for having us, man.
You're welcome. We will catch you on the next episode, which will probably be at least 3 more Nintendo Directs. See you guys later.
It never ends.